how many microarray plates can you fit on a dish, and SNP sequencing and protein expression, and some of the early stage things that you did. But when you came, what were you thinking about? What was your vision for what Illumina could become way back in 1999?
Well, there were about 25 people in the company, so the company had really about a year old, had secured some of the core intellectual property from Tufts to build a new generation of microarrays. And as many of you who sort of followed that field, at that time, Affymetrix was the 800-pound gorilla in the microarray business. They had a technology called the gene chip, and they used semiconductor processing to make those gene chips. And so when I came out of Molecular Dynamics, I had sold that company in 1998. Molecular Dynamics had been involved in the microarray business and the DNA sequencing business. In fact, we built the first 50 scanners for Affymetrix because they didn't have a scanner technology. So that happened about 1995 or so. So we kind of enabled the startup of Affymetrix, and then we launched the first capillary DNA sequencer. So I had arrays and sequencing in my background when I got to Illumina. And after I sold Molecular Dynamics, I was looking for the next great startup, and Illumina was it. My wife and I agreed to come to San Diego on a 5-year plan, and here we are, 18 years later, 17 years later, whatever it is. It speaks to the greatness of San Diego. But the mission of the company really then was to understand how we could take that microarray technology and really develop a new generation that could eclipse Affymetrix and go into multiple applications, expression, genotyping, and potentially proteomics. And we worked hard on proteomics and actually never launched a product in proteomics. So there's a story to be told there if anybody cares about that story. But we had ambitions in the long run to get into sequencing, but we didn't have a sequencing technology in those early days.
So what led to that? I mean, was your back then, 1999, 2000, Craig Venter and Francis Collins sequenced the human genome.
Right.
I remember they had literally hundreds and hundreds of sequencers in 2 different locations that they used over, 7 or 8 years to be able to accomplish that. Did you have any inkling of a vision at that time about high-speed sequencing and Illumina moving into that arena?
Well, yeah, I did and we did, because I was involved in that in a different way than Craig was. Craig was actually doing the sequencing, and at Molecular Dynamics I was in the same kind of role that I am now. So Molecular Dynamics built the first capillary sequencer that wound up sequencing about 1/3 of the human genome program. Celera, where Craig was, because they were tied directly to ABI, they used 3700, which was ABI's competitive product. They launched about a year later than we did, but they had a much bigger market footprint and much better control over reagents, so they eclipsed what we had launched in the market. So about 2/3 of it was done on their technology, about 1/3 on Molecular Dynamics technology. And then after I sold it to Amersham, they never invested in that, so it kind of disappeared. But I always had an affection for sequencing and had an intent to try to drive Illumina in that direction. But as I said, we didn't have a way to do that at that point in time. So we explored all kinds of things over the years and wound up via acquisition getting into sequencing.